Hey, Tyler from Less Annoying Business here. In this video, I want to talk about something that you've almost certainly heard of. You've probably heard of cookies on the internet before. Everyone's heard of them. Almost no one knows what they are or how they work. You may have heard them in a kind of like negative context, like, oh, it's for ads and tracking and stuff like that. And yes, the cookies can be used in a bad way, but they're also super, super important and are used in a good way for almost every website you use. So I just want to explain what they are and how they work in kind of basic terms. Okay, so to do this, we're going to look at this little graphic here, and I'm kind of oversimplifying, of course. This is just meant to be a basic explanation. But imagine you've got your laptop here, and you're trying to load a website. A very simple version of what happens is you make a request to the server. The server's just on the internet somewhere. That's what hosts the website. And the server sends back, hey, here's the website you were trying to look at. And then your computer can display it. So every time you go to a web page, click a link to load a new site, anything like that, it's sending a request to the server and the server is sending a response back. The thing is, it's a little more complex than that because let's say let's use twitter.com as an example. If I go to Twitter and I have an account and you go to Twitter and you have an account, we're going to see different things. Even though we're loading the same web page, Twitter knows who I am and I follow certain people, and Twitter knows who you are and you follow certain people. So we're going to see different things. How does this work? How does Twitter know who we are? That's basically what cookies are for. So what happens is the first time you go to a website, if it's never seen you before, what it does is it generates a unique code here. So I just made one up, VJM8, blah, blah, blah. It's going to generate, the server is going to generate this code and send it back to your computer. So you go to twitter.com, the server is going to say, here's the website, and also store this code on your computer. This is called a cookie. What a cookie is it's going to basically every time your computer makes a request to the server again, it's going to send this cookie along with it. So a cookie lets the server tell your computer every time you make a request from now on, send this cookie. Okay. Now, so the first time your computer does it, it generates a new code. The next time your computer does it, it includes the same code that was already generated. And then the server can use this to track what's called a session for you. Your session is basically your profile. It's like you've got your computer, you're loading a bunch of different pages on the same website. It wants to remember who you are. So you might, for example, go to log in to a website like Twitter or Facebook or whatever. When you log in, it's going to say, okay, we checked your email, we checked your password, we know who you are. We're going to link that with your session. So now every time you load the site again, we can know you are who you are and we can show you the correct news feed or anything like that. So it's really that simple. You go to a server, it generates this random code, it saves it on your computer, and then every time from then on that your computer makes a request, this cookie gets passed back and forth so that the server can remember who you are. A little bit of extra detail here in case you're curious. First of all, just to see this in action, let's take a look at our settings. So I'm in Google Chrome here. I'm going to go to settings. If you come up here and you just search for cookie, you can go to cookies and other site data here. And then I'm going to scroll down to where it says see all cookie and site data. This is going to show you all of the websites that you have cookies for. There's probably a lot. Like if you look on my computer, thousands probably. Basically every site you've ever gone to is going to have cookies assigned with it. And then let's just use 37signals.com as an example here. So there's only one cookie here and they call it Beanstalk UUID for whatever reason. Doesn't really matter what it's called. But you can see here, the content of the cookie is exactly what I was just saying. Here, let me make this a little bigger for you. The content is just this big, long, random code. This is the thing. So back to my graphic. That's this code that I was saying gets passed back and forth. If I go to 37signals.com, this is the code that gets passed back and forth. This was generated by the server the first time I went there. So sometimes you may have run into a situation where maybe you're having like a technical problem and you call IT support and they say, oh, you need to clear your cookies. Basically what that's doing, I'm going to click remove all here. This is going to clear this cookie. I think. Yeah, it's just not showing it immediately, but yes, that cleared the cookie. What that means is the computer, the next time it goes back to the server, it's not going to send the cookie with it. And so the server is going to think, oh, you're a whole new person. We're going to generate a new session for you, a new unique code, and send that back. So if you clear your cookies, it effectively logs you out of whichever, if you clear just cookies for one site, it logs you out of that site. If you clear your cookies for all of your sites, it logs you out of everything. And then the final thing I want to talk about here is you've probably heard about cookies as a bad thing, as like it's invasive, it affects your privacy and stuff like that. What I've said so far here, this is not invasive. This is like you logged into Twitter, you told Twitter who you are, and of course, Twitter needs to remember who you are in order to show you the right information. That's the good use of cookies. The arguably bad use is our advertisers can use this to track you across multiple different sites. So if we go to settings here, I mean, we can I've never been to the vast majority of these sites. Like, I don't know what this is, but these are almost all just advertising websites where you go to like CNN.com or whatever, and there's a bunch of ads everywhere. All these ads are putting their own cookies on your browser. And then when you go to a different site, they still can see those cookies, and they can, that's how, like, if you go to Amazon and search for shoes, and then you go to a different website and all of a sudden you've got advertisements for shoes going on, that's because of cookies. So you could certainly make an argument that cookies are not all good. There are some arguably bad uses of them, but they are absolutely essential for keeping you logged in. And there are some changes happening right now to make cookies hopefully a little more private, a little more secure. So we'll see what happens there. But I hope this cleared up a little bit about how cookies work. If you have any questions, let me know.